The galaxy of Warhammer 40,000 is a crucible of ambition, tradition, and relentless war, where the Imperium of Man stands as a bulwark against countless threats. Central to its defense are the Adeptus Astartes, the Space Marines, genetically modified superhumans crafted to be humanity's ultimate warriors. For 10,000 years, the Space Marine chapters have upheld the Emperor's will, battling the myriad Xenos, heretics, and demons that threaten the Imperium's fragile existence. But in the grim darkness of the 41st millennium, the question arises: is it possible to create a new Space Marine chapter in the current era? The concept of founding a new chapter is not merely a matter of ambition or necessity. It is an endeavor steeped in ritual, bureaucracy, and unimaginable peril. The Codex Astartes, written by Robert Guilliman, provides guidelines for the organization and operation of Space Marine chapters, yet even this venerable text leaves much unsaid about the creation of new chapters. To found one is to attempt the impossible, navigating an intricate labyrinth of gene seed purity, political intrigue, and imperial dogma. The Imperium has a storied history of founding Space Marine chapters, with each founding representing a monumental effort to expand its military might. Yet, as the galaxy teeters on the brink of annihilation, the feasibility of creating new chapters grows increasingly uncertain. Resources are scarce, the gene seed degrades with time, and the Adeptus Mechanicus, guardians of the Imperium's technological secrets, hold the means of production in a vice-like grip. Meanwhile, the High Lords of Terra and the Inquisition scrutinize such efforts, wary of potential corruption or failure. In this perilous age, new chapters are not merely a military necessity, but a declaration of resilience. With the Great Rift splitting the galaxy in two, countless regions of the Imperium are isolated, besieged, and desperate for salvation. The birth of a new chapter could bring hope to the Imperium's darkest corners, yet the risks are immense. What if the gene seed proves unstable? What if the chapter falls prey to heresy or rebellion? The galaxy's history is littered with tales of failed experiments, rogue chapters, and catastrophic betrayals. This exploration will delve into the possibility of founding a new Space Marine chapter in the current era. Who would dare undertake such a monumental task, and what forces would align for or against it? What conditions must be met to ensure success, and what dangers lurk in the shadows of such an endeavor? From the meticulous cultivation of gene seed to the fierce political battles waged on Terra, we will uncover the trials and triumphs of those who seek to shape the future of the Adeptus Astartes. As we embark on this journey, we are reminded of the Emperor's vision of unity and strength, a vision now obscured by the mists of time and the horrors of endless war. The creation of a new chapter is not merely an act of defiance against the darkness, but a testament to humanity's enduring will to survive. Yet, in this age of strife, such ambition may prove as dangerous as the enemies that encircle the Imperium. The tale begins here, where ambition meets reality, and the seeds of possibility are sown amidst the ashes of countless wars. Will the Imperium rise to the challenge, or will its efforts crumble under the weight of tradition, fear, and the ever-present specter of chaos? In the vast and labyrinthine structure of the Imperium, the creation of a new Space Marine chapter is a Herculean task that requires the involvement of numerous factions, each bringing their own agendas, capabilities, and challenges to the process. These key players are as vital to the founding as the gene seed itself, shaping not only the success of the chapter, but its character, purpose, and ultimate fate. The High Lords of Terra stand at the apex of the Imperium's bureaucracy, the stewards of humanity's survival and its overarching policies. Any proposal to create a new chapter must pass through their deliberations, as they hold the authority to sanction such efforts. They weigh the strategic necessity of a new chapter against the resources required and the risks involved, often driven as much by political intrigue as military pragmatism. Their decisions are not made in isolation. Rivalries and alliances within the Council can tilt the balance for or against such an initiative. Next are the Adeptus Mechanicus, the enigmatic and zealous guardians of humanity's technological inheritance. The Mechanicus controls the facilities and arcane knowledge necessary to cultivate and refine Gene Seed, the genetic foundation of Space Marines. Their involvement is indispensable, but it comes with significant challenges. The Mechanicus' obsession with maintaining purity in ancient technology often clashes with the practical needs of the Adeptus Astartes. Moreover, their motives are rarely transparent. Their quest for knowledge and power may lead to subtle manipulation of the chapter's foundation, embedding their influence in its very core. The Inquisition, ever watchful for heresy and corruption, plays a dual role in the founding of a new chapter. On the one hand, they scrutinize every aspect of the process, ensuring that the Gene Seed and its recipients are free of mutation or taint. On the other hand, their influence can be both an asset and a hindrance. A supportive Inquisitor may advocate for the chapter's creation, recognizing its potential to bolster the Imperium's defenses. Conversely, a skeptical or antagonistic Inquisitor can obstruct progress, fearing the new warriors might become a liability. The Adeptus Administratum, the Imperium's vast bureaucratic engine, is responsible for the logistical and organizational aspects of founding a chapter. From sourcing recruits to allocating resources, their role is both mundane and monumental. While their efficiency can determine the speed and scale of the chapter's creation, their sprawling bureaucracy often slows progress, entangling the process in endless paperwork and delays. Additionally, the Administratum's priorities may not always align with those of the Astartes, leading to potential friction. The chapter's intended mentor or sponsor often plays a critical role in shaping its identity and purpose. This might be an established Space Marine chapter tasked with overseeing the fledgling force, sharing their gene seed, and guiding them through their formative years. This sponsorship can imbue the new chapter with traditions, doctrines, and tactics, while also creating lasting bonds or rivalries that persist through the centuries. One cannot overlook the potential adversaries and skeptics within the Imperium itself. While the need for new warriors is evident, many factions view the creation of a new chapter with suspicion or outright opposition. Rogue traders, planetary governors, and even rival chapters may resist the foundation of a new force in their sphere of influence, seeing it as a challenge to their power or an unnecessary diversion of resources. These internal tensions highlight the fractured nature of the Imperium and the delicate balance that must be maintained. Finally, the recruits themselves are a vital and often overlooked factor. Drawn from the Imperium's countless worlds, these individuals represent the raw material from which the chapter will be forged. Their cultural backgrounds, beliefs, and genetic compatibility with the gene seed profoundly influence the chapter's character. The selection process is arduous and fraught with peril, as even minor flaws can doom the chapter before it ever takes to the field. These factions and individuals form a complex web of interactions and influences, each contributing to the monumental challenge of creating a new Space Marine chapter. Their roles are as varied as their motives, but all are indispensable in navigating the treacherous path toward the chapter's emergence. Whether united in purpose or divided by ambition, they shape not only the fate of the chapter, but the broader destiny of the Imperium itself. The current era of the Imperium, marked by the tumult of the Great Rift and the rise of the Indomitus Crusade, has created an unprecedented need for adaptability and resilience. This dire situation has forced humanity to reconsider measures once thought impractical or too perilous, including the creation of new Space Marine chapters. The galaxy's unrelenting chaos and the fragmentation of Imperial control have combined to make such endeavors both a necessity and a gamble fraught with challenges. The catastrophic emergence of the Great Rift split the galaxy into two halves, severing countless worlds from the guiding light of the Astronomicon. In these forsaken regions, chaos reigns supreme, with heretic forces, Xenos marauders, and demonic incursions preying on the defenseless. The Imperium's traditional response to such threats, dispatching established chapters to restore order, has become increasingly untenable. The vast distances and logistical nightmares introduced by the warp's instability render many of these regions unreachable or leave them isolated for decades, if not centuries. This grim reality has intensified calls for localized defenses, including the establishment of new chapters capable of protecting their regions without relying on distant reinforcements. Compounding this need is the increasing strain on existing chapters. Even the mightiest forces, such as the Ultramarines and Blood Angels, face significant attrition as they fight on countless fronts. Many chapters operate at far below their nominal strength, while others have been entirely wiped out or corrupted. The demands placed on these warriors have reached a breaking point, and the Imperium recognizes that its survival may hinge on replenishing the ranks of the Adeptus Astartes through bold, albeit risky, initiatives. The political landscape of the Imperium also plays a role in this decision. The resurgence of the Imperium's strategic leadership under the High Lords of Terra has brought renewed efforts to restore stability. These leaders, while often mired in intrigue, understand that maintaining their authority depends on projecting power to the galaxy's fringes. The creation of new chapters is seen as a symbol of the Imperium's resolve and a means to reinforce the regions most vulnerable to rebellion or invasion. This pragmatic approach, however, must contend with internal opposition, as some factions question whether the risks outweigh the potential benefits. Technological advancements and rediscoveries, although rare, have also contributed to the possibility of founding new chapters. The Adeptus Mechanicus, spurred by their own enigmatic motivations, has begun deploying experimental methods to refine gene seed cultivation and accelerate recruitment processes. While these innovations remain shrouded in secrecy, they represent a significant step forward in addressing the logistical barriers that have historically limited the founding of new chapters. However, the use of untested methods introduces its own dangers, as even minor flaws could result in catastrophic failures. The cultural and spiritual climate of the Imperium has also shifted in response to the galaxy's increasing peril. Many worlds, long isolated and self-reliant, have begun to see the Space Marines not only as warriors, but as symbols of divine intervention. This growing reverence for the Adeptus Astartes has fueled demands from planetary governors and imperial officials for new chapters to be stationed closer to their regions. While these requests are often driven by desperation, they reflect the widespread belief that the presence of Space Marines can inspire hope and deter rebellion. Yet, the pressures to create new chapters are not solely born of necessity. The Imperium's enemies, particularly the forces of chaos, have demonstrated a chilling capability to corrupt and destroy even the most venerable institutions. Recent events have shown that no bastion of humanity is safe from subversion, prompting a renewed emphasis on adaptability and self-sufficiency. New chapters designed to operate independently and with distinct doctrines are seen as a safeguard against the stagnation and vulnerability that have plagued the Imperium in the past. Finally, the cultural memory of the Imperium itself plays a significant role. The creation of new chapters is deeply rooted in its history, with each founding representing a response to crises or opportunities. The Imperium's leaders draw upon this legacy, invoking past successes to justify present risks. This historical precedent, while inspiring, also casts a long shadow, as failures from previous foundings serve as cautionary tales of hubris and overreach. The convergence of these factors, strategic necessity, political ambition, technological experimentation, cultural shifts, and historical precedent, has created the conditions for reconsidering the founding of new Space Marine chapters. It is a decision born of desperation and hope, driven by the Imperium's unwavering commitment to survival in the face of unending threats. Yet, the path to achieving this goal is fraught with uncertainties, and the consequences of failure could be as devastating as the forces that threaten humanity's existence. The process of creating a new Space Marine chapter in the current era unfolds through a series of intricate and perilous stages. Each step reflects the sheer complexity of this monumental task, requiring meticulous planning, vast resources, and unwavering resolve. This journey, fraught with challenges, highlights the extraordinary lengths the Imperium must go to in its bid for survival. The first stage begins with the decision to authorize the founding of a new chapter, a process steeped in both strategy and politics. This decision typically originates from the High Lords of Terra, informed by dire circumstances or urgent appeals from Imperial commanders. The necessity for a new chapter may stem from the collapse of a key sector's defenses, the emergence of a major Xenos threat, or the rising tide of heresy in a particular region. The High Lords deliberate extensively, weighing the benefits against the enormous investment of resources and the inherent risks involved. Once the decision is made, the identification and preparation of gene seed begins. The Adeptus Mechanicus assumes a central role in this stage, tasked with providing gene seed of sufficient purity and stability. This process often involves drawing from ancient stocks maintained under the watchful eyes of the Mechanicus's biomagi. Each gene seed lineage carries its own legacy of strengths and weaknesses, influencing not only the new chapter's capabilities, but also the challenges they may face. The purity of the gene seed must be verified through rigorous testing, with even the slightest anomaly capable of jeopardizing the entire endeavor. Parallel to this, the selection of a homeworld or fleet-based operating structure takes place. This decision shapes the chapter's identity and operational style. A homeworld is often chosen based on its proximity to strategic zones or its potential to supply recruits. Such worlds are typically harsh, fostering resilient and resourceful candidates. Alternatively, a fleet-based chapter may be deemed more suitable for regions where mobility is critical, allowing the new force to respond rapidly to emerging threats. This choice is not made lightly, as it carries implications for the chapter's recruitment pool and long-term sustainability. The next stage involves recruitment and genetic augmentation, arguably the most perilous and labor-intensive phase of the process. Candidates, often chosen from the local population, undergo a series of grueling trials to prove their physical and mental fortitude. Those who survive these trials are subjected to the implantation of the gene seed, a process that transforms them into the superhuman warriors of the Adeptus Astartes. Each stage of implantation is fraught with risks, from organ rejection to unforeseen mutations, and every failure threatens to undermine the chapter's future. With recruits undergoing transformation, attention turns to training and indoctrination, a process that ensures the new chapter adheres to the martial traditions and spiritual doctrines of the Adeptus Astartes. Training is overseen by experienced space marines from established chapters who act as mentors and instructors. This stage also involves the development of the chapter's unique combat doctrines, influenced by the nature of their gene seed, the characteristics of their homeworld or fleet, and the strategic needs of the Imperium. Simultaneously, the chapter is steeped in the religious and cultural teachings of the Imperium, forging an unbreakable loyalty to the Emperor and the Imperium's ideals. As the new chapter takes shape, armament and fleet acquisition begin. The Adeptus Mechanicus once again plays a critical role, providing war gear, vehicles, and starships essential for the chapter's operations. These resources are often drawn from ancient forges or reclaimed from battlefields, with the Mechanicus ensuring each piece of equipment meets the exacting standards of the Adeptus Astartes. For a fleet-based chapter, this stage includes the construction or acquisition of a flagship, a symbol of their strength and a mobile fortress monastery. Once the chapter reaches a state of operational readiness, it undergoes field trials, where its warriors are tested in real combat. These engagements serve as a baptism by fire, revealing the strengths and weaknesses of the nascent force. Field trials are closely monitored by the overseeing mentors and the Inquisition, who evaluate the chapter's performance and ensure its adherence to Imperial protocols. Success in these trials marks the chapter's official recognition as a fully fledged force within the Adeptus Astartes. The final stage is the formal consecration of the chapter, a ceremony that solidifies its place within the Imperium. This event is marked by grand rituals, overseen by representatives of the ecclesiarchy and the Mechanicus. The chapter is bestowed with its heraldry, name, and war cry, symbols that will define its identity for millennia to come. At this moment, the chapter is entrusted with its sacred duty to defend humanity, its warriors sworn to uphold the Emperor's will. These stages, though arduous and fraught with danger, culminate in the birth of a new chapter, a testament to the Imperium's resilience and resourcefulness. Yet, even as the chapter begins its journey, it remains vulnerable, its survival dependent on the unwavering dedication of its warriors and the unyielding support of the Imperium's many institutions. The path to becoming a true bastion of humanity is long and perilous, with countless challenges awaiting the fledgling force in the darkness of the galaxy. The turning point in the creation of a new Space Marine chapter often centers around a single critical event or decision that defines the path forward, shaping not only the chapter's destiny, but its immediate viability. In the current era, where resources are strained and the galaxy is more perilous than ever, this pivotal moment can be fraught with contention, ambition, and immense risk. At the heart of this process lies the selection of the chapter's core purpose and strategic role within the Imperium. This decision is far from a mere bureaucratic exercise. It is a defining act that requires balancing the demands of war, the survival of Imperial domains, and the ambitions of those who advocate for the chapter's creation. The decision must take into account the region's immediate needs, whether the chapter is to be deployed to defend a vulnerable sector, reclaim lost worlds, or spearhead assaults against Xenos and heretical threats. This mission defines everything about the chapter, from its combat doctrine to its operational structure, and even its cultural ethos. This decision is rarely made in isolation, as it involves key factions vying for influence over the chapter's future. The High Lords of Terra may push for a chapter focused on bolstering a critical war front, while the Adeptus Mechanicus might advocate for a role that aligns with their own secretive goals. At times, conflict arises between these factions, each seeking to steer the chapter's creation toward their own ends. The result is often a tense negotiation where political maneuvering determines the chapter's course. A pivotal choice during this stage is the selection of a gene seed lineage to serve as the foundation of the new warriors. Each lineage carries with it a legacy of strengths, weaknesses, and traits, many of which are deeply ingrained in the chapter's identity. Some lineages are renowned for their purity and reliability, while others are chosen for their unique capabilities or adaptability in specific environments. This selection process is overseen by the Adeptus Mechanicus, but their recommendations are not always accepted without scrutiny. Opponents within the Imperium may argue against a particular lineage, citing historical failures or fears of instability, turning this decision into a flashpoint of contention. The next critical moment comes with the designation of leadership. A new chapter requires a commanding figure to shape its warriors, embody its ideals, and guide its development. The choice of a leader, often a highly experienced officer from an established chapter, is a decision of paramount importance. This individual will not only oversee the chapter's creation, but also establish its traditions and serve as a symbol of its mission. The chosen leader must be both a capable tactician and a staunch defender of Imperial values, yet this choice is rarely free of controversy. Rivals may question the leader's qualifications, or factions within the Imperium may seek to install someone aligned with their own interests. The training and indoctrination phase also carries moments of critical decision-making. During this stage, the fledgling chapter must forge its combat doctrine, a decision that reflects its purpose and the challenges it is expected to face. This doctrine, whether it emphasizes siege warfare, rapid strikes, or defensive fortifications, will shape the chapter's tactics and overall effectiveness. Developing these strategies involves rigorous testing and adaptation, as theoretical approaches are tested in simulated and live combat scenarios. These exercises reveal both strengths and vulnerabilities, prompting adjustments that can make or break the chapter's future success. Another turning point arises during the chapter's first deployment. This inaugural mission is not merely a trial of their combat abilities, but a proving ground for their existence. The assignment is often chosen to reflect the chapter's intended purpose, serving as both a demonstration of their capabilities and a statement to the broader Imperium. A successful deployment can solidify the chapter's reputation and justify the immense resources poured into its creation. However, failure at this stage can have disastrous consequences, leading to skepticism, political fallout, and in extreme cases, the dismantling of the chapter before it can fully establish itself. Finally, a critical moment comes with the decision to formalize the chapter's traditions and identity. This step includes the adoption of symbols, colors, and a name that will define the chapter for generations. While seemingly ceremonial, this act carries profound implications as it reflects the chapter's ethos, purpose, and connection to its lineage. The chosen identity serves as a rallying point for its warriors, instilling pride and unity, but also establishes expectations from the broader Imperium. Each of these moments represents a fork in the road, where decisions made by the Imperium's leadership, the chapter's mentors, and its fledgling members determine whether the endeavor succeeds or fails. These turning points are not merely practical steps, but pivotal events that shape the chapter's place in the galaxy. In an era where survival often hinges on bold choices, these moments carry the weight of the Imperium's hopes and the specter of its many failures. The establishment of a new Space Marine chapter reverberates across the galaxy, its impact extending far beyond the immediate scope of its missions. In a universe constantly teetering on the brink of collapse, the arrival of even a single additional force can shift the balance in unexpected ways. The consequences, both intended and unforeseen, shape not only the region where the chapter operates, but also the broader Imperium and its many adversaries. One of the most immediate effects is the reinforcement of regions that have long suffered under the weight of war. Isolated sectors cut off by the Great Rift or devastated by relentless invasions often find renewed hope in the presence of a new chapter. These superhuman warriors represent more than just a military advantage. They embody the Imperium's enduring will to fight back against seemingly insurmountable odds. The psychological impact on beleaguered populations can be profound, rekindling faith in the Emperor and fostering unity in the face of adversity. The deployment of a new chapter also has a significant effect on the political dynamics within the Imperium. Planetary governors and local defense forces often vie for the chapter's favor, seeking alliances that might grant them additional protection or prestige. This can lead to an increase in cooperation and resource sharing between Imperial forces, but it may also create tensions as rival factions compete for the chapter's attention. In some cases, the chapter itself becomes a power broker, mediating disputes and influencing local policies through its sheer presence and authority. On a broader scale, the introduction of a new chapter influences the strategic calculus of the Imperium's enemies. Xenos empires, heretical uprisings, and the forces of chaos are forced to re-evaluate their plans in light of this new threat. A chapter's ability to rapidly deploy and execute devastating strikes can disrupt enemy campaigns, forcing them to redirect resources and adjust their strategies. The knowledge that a new chapter exists also serves as a deterrent, discouraging potential adversaries from escalating their attacks in regions where the chapter is known to operate. However, the creation of a new chapter can also lead to unintended consequences within the Imperium itself. The vast resources required to establish and sustain such a force often strain the already overburdened systems of the Adeptus Mechanicus and the Administratum. This can create friction between Imperial institutions, particularly if other sectors feel neglected or deprived of resources that have been redirected to support the chapter. The perception of favoritism or mismanagement can breed resentment, undermining the unity of the Imperium. For the chapter itself, the impact on its recruits and their homeworld, if one has been established, is profound. The transformation of ordinary humans into superhuman warriors fundamentally alters the culture of their origin. Entire worlds may shift their societal structures to better align with the chapter's needs, emphasizing martial values and fostering a population of future recruits. Over time, this can create a symbiotic relationship where the chapter and its homeworld grow increasingly interdependent, but it can also lead to the erosion of local traditions and the emergence of unrest among populations unfit or unwilling to embrace this new reality. The chapter's actions also leave a mark on the Imperial war machine. Successful campaigns validate the effort and resources invested in the founding, encouraging calls for further chapter creations. Conversely, failures, whether through military setbacks, gene seed instability, or internal corruption, cast doubt on the process, sparking debates among the High Lords of Terra and other influential figures. These outcomes shape future policies, influencing how and when new chapters might be considered in the future. Outside the Imperium, the emergence of a new chapter can alter the dynamics between the Imperium and its Xenos adversaries. Orc warbands, for instance, may seek out battles against the chapter, drawn by the challenge and the promise of glory in defeating such formidable foes. Eldar factions, aware of the chapter's potential to disrupt their long-term plans, might take steps to manipulate or misdirect its campaigns, leading to unexpected alliances or conflicts. These interactions further complicate the galaxy's already volatile state, introducing new variables into the endless web of intrigue and warfare. On a metaphysical level, the creation of a new chapter resonates within the warp. The psychic imprint of thousands of warriors, unified by faith and purpose, acts as a beacon that draws the attention of both allies and enemies. The chapter's successes can inspire increased devotion among Imperial citizens, bolstering the Imperium's spiritual resilience. Yet, this same resonance may attract the malice of warp entities, who view the chapter as a direct threat to their dominion and seek to corrupt or destroy it. Ultimately, the founding of a new chapter is not a singular event, but a catalyst for change, rippling across the galaxy in ways both immediate and long-lasting. It is a reminder of the Imperium's relentless drive to endure, even in the face of overwhelming odds. Yet, as with all endeavors in the grim darkness of the far future, the results are never without cost or complication, ensuring that the chapter's influence will be felt in ways both glorious and tragic for centuries to come. The creation of a new Space Marine chapter in the current era is steeped in challenges and innovations that reflect the galaxy's evolving landscape. As the Imperium grapples with unprecedented threats, the processes and elements involved in founding a chapter have developed unique aspects, shaped by both necessity and opportunity. One of the most distinctive features of creating a new chapter today lies in the adaptation of gene seed technology to meet modern demands. The Adeptus Mechanicus, with its obsession for preserving and refining ancient genetic templates, has introduced experimental methodologies to stabilize and enhance the gene seed. These advancements are often cloaked in secrecy, with the Mechanicus guarding their techniques fiercely. In some cases, this involves the integration of rediscovered genetic markers or the use of untested augmentation protocols, which, while offering potential benefits, also carry significant risks of instability. Another unique aspect is the emphasis on creating chapters tailored to specific environmental or strategic needs. Unlike in earlier eras, where chapters often adhered to general-purpose doctrines, many of the newly proposed chapters are designed to address localized challenges. This can include specialized adaptations for operations in extreme environments, such as death worlds with toxic atmospheres or sectors plagued by constant warp storms. These environmental specializations often influence everything from the chapter's war gear to its combat doctrines, ensuring it can thrive in its intended theater of war. The recruitment process has also seen significant evolution. The Imperium's growing desperation has led to the exploration of unconventional recruitment pools, often drawing from populations that would have been overlooked in more stable times. From Hive World gang leaders to seasoned Planetary Defense Force veterans, These recruits bring diverse skills and perspectives that can shape a chapter's character. However, the integration of such disparate backgrounds requires advanced training programs and a greater emphasis on unity during indoctrination, ensuring that the recruits can transition into the rigid discipline of the Adeptus Astartes. The war gear and vehicles provided to new chapters often reflect the realities of the modern Imperium. Scarcity of resources means that newly founded chapters frequently receive refurbished equipment, salvaged from battlefields or drawn from ancient stockpiles. While these relics are often steeped in history and functionality, they may lack the cutting-edge capabilities of newly forged technology. This has led many chapters to develop innovative maintenance and modification techniques, allowing them to maximize the potential of their available arsenal. In some cases, these innovations become hallmarks of the chapter, earning them reputations for ingenuity and resourcefulness. The doctrines of new chapters are another distinctive feature, as they are often shaped by the Imperium's most pressing threats. For instance, chapters created to combat the Tyrannid menace might prioritize high-mobility strike forces equipped with flamers and bioacid-resistant armor. Conversely, chapters founded to operate in regions beset by chaos incursions may place a greater emphasis on psychic resilience, training their warriors to withstand warp corruption and employing librarians extensively in their ranks. These tailored approaches ensure the chapter's relevance in its assigned role, but can also make it vulnerable to unforeseen challenges outside its specialization. One particularly unique element in the current era is the influence of the Indomitus Crusade on new chapter creation. The vast resources mobilized during the Crusade have facilitated the establishment of chapters designed to serve as permanent guardians for territories reclaimed from the Great Rift's chaos. These chapters are often granted additional responsibilities beyond combat, such as overseeing local imperial governance, bolstering morale among isolated populations, or maintaining supply lines critical to the region's stability. This blend of military and administrative roles marks a significant departure from traditional chapter duties. The cultural identity of new chapters also reflects the influence of modern circumstances. While most chapters adhere to the core tenets of the Codex Astartes, they often develop unique traditions and practices shaped by their origin and mission. For example, a chapter established to defend a shrine world might adopt rituals that emphasize their role as protectors of the Emperor's faith, incorporating ecclesiarchy-led ceremonies into their daily routines. Similarly, fleet-based chapters operating in turbulent warp zones may develop superstitions and customs to ensure safe passage, blending naval discipline with spiritual fervor. Finally, the public perception of new chapters within the Imperium has evolved in this era of crisis. Ordinary citizens, starved for symbols of hope, often view these newly minted warriors as miracles of the Emperor's providence. The creation of a chapter becomes a rallying point for the Imperium's beleaguered populations, inspiring widespread devotion and loyalty. This heightened visibility places unique pressures on new chapters, as their successes or failures resonate deeply with the imperial populace, influencing morale across entire sectors. These distinct aspects illustrate how the founding of a Space Marine chapter in the current era is far from a simple replication of past practices. Each new chapter reflects the Imperium's adaptability and its determination to endure, embodying the challenges and innovations of a galaxy in turmoil. Yet, as with all things in the grim darkness of the far future, these unique elements are as much a source of strength as they are a potential point of failure, ensuring that the creation of every new chapter remains a venture fraught with both promise and peril. The founding of a new Space Marine chapter is an endeavor that brings forth individuals of remarkable influence, dedication, and vision. These figures, drawn from across the Imperium's vast hierarchy, play pivotal roles in shaping the chapter's future. Their decisions, guidance, and actions leave a lasting imprint, determining whether the fledgling warriors rise to greatness or falter under the weight of expectation. At the forefront of such efforts is the Master of the Forge, an esteemed member of the Adeptus Mechanicus tasked with overseeing the preparation and refinement of the gene seed. These individuals possess a rare blend of scientific expertise and religious zeal, guiding the intricate processes that will determine the genetic purity and stability of the chapter's recruits. Known for their obsessive attention to detail, they often work tirelessly for years to ensure that no flaw jeopardizes the chapter's viability. The Master of the Forge may also play a role in selecting the specific genetic heritage, balancing its strengths with the needs of the Imperium. Another key figure is the chapter's founding commander, often drawn from the ranks of veteran space marines within established chapters. This individual is more than a mere warrior. They are a leader and visionary, responsible for laying the foundation of the chapter's traditions, doctrines, and identity. Their experience in war, combined with their deep understanding of Imperial values, enables them to guide the recruits through the perilous early years. Some founding commanders go on to achieve legendary status, their deeds in these formative stages celebrated as defining moments in the chapter's history. In many cases, the involvement of an inquisitor from the Ordo Hereticus or Ordo Malleus is critical. These agents of the Inquisition act as both overseers and advocates, ensuring the process adheres to the strictures of imperial law while defending the initiative from internal opposition. Their support can shield the endeavor from bureaucratic sabotage or political machinations, while their scrutiny guarantees that no trace of corruption taints the chapter's origins. Inquisitors known for their boldness and unyielding faith often become central figures in the chapter's creation, their approval serving as a mark of legitimacy. The chapter's chaplaincy is another essential force in its formation, with senior chaplains or ecclesiarchal representatives shaping the spiritual foundation of the warriors. These individuals craft the rites and rituals that will bind the chapter together, instilling unwavering devotion to the Emperor. Often, chaplains draw upon the traditions of their origin or the cultural heritage of the chapter's recruits, weaving these influences into the fabric of the chapter's identity. Their efforts ensure that the chapter's warriors remain steadfast, even when faced with the galaxy's darkest horrors. Among the supporting figures, Magi explorators from the Adeptus Mechanicus play a crucial role in providing the technological infrastructure necessary for the chapter's survival. These individuals oversee the provisioning of war gear, vehicles, and spacecraft, often sourcing them from the Mechanicus's ancient forges or battlefield reclamation efforts. Their expertise ensures that the chapter begins its existence with the tools required for war, but their motives are not always transparent. Magi explorators with their own agendas can subtly influence the chapter's development, embedding Mechanicus priorities into its structure. Equally important are the individuals responsible for recruitment and training, often drawn from the elite ranks of established chapters. These mentors, including sergeants and apothecaries, guide the recruits through their brutal trials, shaping them into disciplined warriors. Their efforts extend beyond physical conditioning, instilling the values and tactical acumen required to succeed on the battlefield. These figures often form the backbone of the chapter's initial leadership, transitioning from mentors to officers once the chapter is fully operational. Beyond the Imperium's institutions, certain planetary governors or influential leaders from the chapter's chosen homeworld may also play a role. These figures, while not directly involved in military aspects, can shape the chapter's cultural identity by providing recruits and forging local traditions. Their cooperation ensures a steady supply of resources and recruits, while their support strengthens the chapter's ties to the wider Imperium. In some cases, these leaders become symbolic patrons of the chapter, their influence immortalized in its lore. Lastly, certain figures emerge as adversaries or skeptics during the chapter's founding, shaping its journey through opposition. Rival factions within the Imperium, from political opponents to competing chapters, may challenge the legitimacy or necessity of the new force. These individuals, while ostensibly working for the same cause, often force the chapter's advocates to navigate complex negotiations and demonstrate the value of their endeavor. In overcoming these challenges, the chapter's proponents often solidify its place within the Imperium, ensuring it begins its existence on a foundation of hard-earned legitimacy. Together, these individuals weave a tapestry of ambition, faith, and determination, each contributing to the monumental task of founding a new chapter. Their roles, while varied, underscore the collaborative and multifaceted nature of the Imperium's greatest undertakings, highlighting the extraordinary human and superhuman efforts required to create a force capable of defending humanity in its darkest hour. The creation of a new Space Marine chapter in the current era raises a host of unresolved questions and theoretical debates, many of which remain shrouded in secrecy, speculation, and conflicting agendas. These mysteries highlight the complexity and danger of such an undertaking, as well as the inherent uncertainties that accompany it. One of the most persistent questions concerns the long-term stability of the gene seed. While the Adeptus Mechanicus takes great care to ensure that the genetic material used in a chapter's creation is as pure as possible, the degradation of gene seed over millennia is an unavoidable reality. Some critics within the Imperium argue that any new chapter is inherently at risk of genetic instability, potentially leading to unforeseen mutations or flaws that could jeopardize its future. The possibility of hidden imperfections raises concerns about the reliability of new chapters, particularly in high-stakes scenarios where failure could have catastrophic consequences. Another unresolved issue involves the strategic necessity of new chapters versus the allocation of limited resources. Critics among the High Lords of Terra and other Imperial factions question whether the effort to establish a new chapter could be better spent reinforcing existing forces. They argue that the process is fraught with inefficiency, citing the extensive resources required to cultivate gene seed, train recruits, and equip the chapter. This debate often leads to heated political conflicts, with proponents needing to justify the decision in the face of competing priorities across the Imperium. The matter of cultural and doctrinal identity also presents unresolved challenges. Each chapter is intended to operate as an autonomous entity, yet this independence can sometimes lead to deviations from the expected norms of the Adeptus Astartes. The question arises: how much deviation is acceptable before a chapter's behavior is deemed heretical or dangerous? For example, newly formed chapters may develop unique rituals, combat doctrines, or governance structures that clash with Imperial expectations. These differences can create friction with other Imperial forces and raise questions about the oversight and control of these fledgling warriors. The psychological impact of rapid indoctrination on recruits remains another area of concern. The process of transforming ordinary humans into Space Marines is grueling, involving physical augmentation and intensive mental conditioning. While this process has been refined over millennia, the increased urgency in the current era has led to speculation that shortcuts may be taken, potentially compromising the recruit's stability. The possibility of psychological fractures or susceptibility to corruption remains a haunting specter, particularly when new chapters are deployed to volatile or isolated regions. There is also an ongoing debate about the transparency of the founding process itself. The Adeptus Mechanicus and other involved parties often operate in near-total secrecy, withholding information from even the most senior Imperial authorities. This lack of openness leads to speculation about the true nature of some chapters' origins. Are certain chapters founded for purposes that go beyond their stated mission? Have experimental procedures been quietly tested on recruits without wider knowledge? These unanswered questions fuel distrust and conspiracy theories within the Imperium. The role of the warp and its potential influence on newly created chapters adds another layer of uncertainty. The psychic and metaphysical dimensions of the Imperium's war against chaos are not fully understood, even by the most learned scholars. Some theorize that the act of founding a chapter, with its concentrated psychic resonance and symbolism, might inadvertently draw the attention of malevolent warp entities. This possibility raises concerns about the long-term spiritual resilience of these forces, as well as their ability to resist corruption in the face of chaos's insidious influence. Questions surrounding the political implications of new chapters also persist. Some fear that powerful factions within the Imperium might exploit the founding process to create chapters that serve their own interests. Could a rogue planetary governor or ambitious Forge World Magos manipulate the process to ensure loyalty to their cause? Such scenarios, while speculative, highlight the delicate balance of power within the Imperium and the potential for internal conflicts to undermine even the most well-intentioned efforts. The final and perhaps most enigmatic question concerns the ultimate purpose of these new chapters. While their stated mission is to defend humanity and the Imperium, some theorists speculate that their creation serves broader, hidden goals. Are these chapters being prepared for a specific, unseen threat on the horizon? Is their founding part of a long-term strategy orchestrated by the Imperium's hidden powers? These questions remain unanswered, and their implications could reshape how the Imperium views its own survival. These mysteries and unresolved issues underscore the inherent complexity of founding a new Space Marine chapter. In the grim darkness of the 41st millennium, where every decision carries immeasurable risks and consequences, the unknowns surrounding this process serve as a reminder of the Imperium's fragile existence. Even as new chapters rise to take their place in the galaxy's endless wars, the questions they leave behind continue to haunt the Imperium, casting long shadows over its future. The long-term consequences of founding a new Space Marine chapter extend far beyond the immediate needs of the Imperium. These effects ripple through the galaxy, shaping the future of entire sectors, altering the balance of power, and influencing the very survival of humanity in the face of endless threats. The significance of these chapters is not merely measured in military victories, but in the enduring legacy they leave across millennia. One of the most profound long-term impacts is the stabilization of regions once teetering on the brink of collapse. A new chapter often becomes a linchpin for Imperial control, providing a powerful and autonomous military presence capable of defending against external threats and internal dissent. Over centuries, these chapters forge deep connections with the worlds they protect, fostering loyalty among the population and reinforcing Imperial authority. Their presence acts as a deterrent to rebellion, ensuring that even the most desperate planetary governors or ambitious warlords think twice before challenging the Imperium. As these chapters grow and establish their own traditions, they often become centers of cultural and spiritual identity for the regions they serve. Planets under their protection may adopt the chapter's symbols, doctrines, and values, integrating them into local customs. Over time, this symbiosis strengthens the bond between the chapter and its domains, creating a legacy that endures even in the face of adversity. These cultural ties can inspire generations, instilling a sense of unity and purpose that extends beyond the chapter itself. On a larger scale, the introduction of new chapters influences the strategic landscape of the galaxy. As these forces prove themselves in battle, they become pivotal in shaping Imperial campaigns, often leading the charge in reclaiming lost worlds or fortifying critical sectors. Their unique combat doctrines and adaptability can shift the balance of power in ongoing conflicts, forcing enemies to reassess their strategies. The long-term presence of these chapters ensures that regions once considered vulnerable become strongholds of Imperial resistance, stabilizing the Imperium's fragmented domains. However, the creation of new chapters also introduces complexities and potential vulnerabilities. Over centuries, the independence granted to these forces can lead to divergences in philosophy and priorities. Some chapters, shaped by the unique challenges of their environment, may develop ideologies that conflict with the broader goals of the Imperium. While most remain loyal, historical precedent shows that such independence can occasionally foster dangerous levels of autonomy, resulting in conflicts with Imperial authorities or even outright rebellion. The long-term sustainability of these chapters also raises concerns. The challenges of maintaining gene seed purity, sourcing recruits, and securing resources become increasingly pronounced as centuries pass. Chapters operating in isolated or resource-poor regions may struggle to maintain their strength, leading to diminished effectiveness or even extinction. These risks underscore the precarious nature of the Imperium's reliance on these superhuman warriors, highlighting the need for ongoing support and oversight. The broader implications of new chapters extend beyond the Imperium. Their existence reshapes the tactics and strategies of the Imperium's enemies, from Xenos empires to the forces of chaos. Over time, adversaries may develop countermeasures specifically designed to exploit the vulnerabilities of certain chapters, leading to a dangerous arms race that escalates the scale and intensity of conflict. In some cases, these enemies may even attempt to infiltrate or corrupt the chapter, seeking to turn its strength against the Imperium. Despite these risks, the long-term significance of new chapters cannot be overstated. They represent humanity's ability to adapt and persevere, even in the face of insurmountable odds. Each chapter becomes a testament to the Imperium's resilience, a living symbol of its determination to endure. Over centuries, these warriors carve out a legacy of heroism, inspiring not only the citizens they protect, but also the countless other forces that fight alongside them. For the Imperium itself, the creation of new chapters reinforces its core ideals of faith, strength, and unity. These warriors embody the Emperor's vision of a humanity capable of rising above its limitations, serving as both defenders and exemplars of what the Imperium strives to achieve. Their successes remind the Imperium that even in an age of darkness, the potential for renewal and growth remains. Yet, the ultimate significance of these chapters may lie in the questions they leave behind. As they grow and evolve, they challenge the Imperium to rethink its strategies, its priorities, and its understanding of what it means to survive in an unforgiving galaxy. These long-term consequences, both tangible and philosophical, ensure that the impact of founding a new chapter resonates far beyond the moment of its creation, shaping the destiny of the Imperium for generations to come.